Oh, here we go. We're finally back to our normal stream schedule. Okay. Boot.dev. Oh, I forgot to start the water. Okay. Oops. Alt Shift plus? No. Alt Shift minus? There you go. What is it? Duplicate. Alt Shift minus, yeah. Alt Shift minus. Huh. It's so weird. It's not opening my... Huh. Okay, where are we at? We're in Peril? Yeah, that's what this is called. Peril. Alrighty. And we're currently in the middle of updating or implementing declare and bind. Okay, so we have our, let's see, create a new channel on the connection. Yes, we have that. Declare a new queue. Yep, we've done all that. Oops. Bind the queue to the exchange. Okay, so what does this all take? Name. Oh, they gave that all to us. Okay, so queue name. Key. Exchange. I don't know about these other methods. Oh my goodness. Okay, declare. Hey, what's up, Amba? Good to see you. It has been a while, man. It has been a while. I'm doing well. We are just working on boot.dev. Still doing boot.dev stuff. So this is going to be our connection. Exchange QName key. So exchange is going to be routing dot exchange. Hey, Abix. I think that's how you say your username. RabbitMQ is just it's a open source self-hostable solution for if you need any kind of message broker type services. It supports the AMQP protocol, which is a pretty widely implemented protocol for a bunch of different message brokers. But if you're gonna do anything like PubSub or queuing, anything like that, and you need some sort of durable system that it can be transient too, but durable in most cases, that you don't have to implement yourself. It's kind of nice. Becoming an all-arounder, like all-in-one book. Can you give some suggestions how can we? I'm unable to focus on one thing, always diversing from my learning. I mean, I think you have to begin with the end in mind. I think there's too much knowledge on planet Earth to know everything about everything. I think the best developers are somewhat T-shaped, meaning they kind of have curiosity and breadth generally in their knowledge base, but there's an area where they kind of excel and have some deep technical expertise, whether that was because they intentionally chose to go and get that deep technical expertise or they just kind of stumbled into it through the work that they did. So I think you really have to begin with the end in mind when it comes to learning. Like, what is your ultimate goal? You can't just be necessarily... I mean, you can definitely learn for the sake of learning, which is a lot of what I do. I already have a job. I already do work I enjoy. So a lot of what I do is just trying to pass my own time in an interesting way. But if you've got like concrete goals, kind of like what it sounds like you do, you've really got to figure out what those are and write those down, and then kind of tailor your learning to that end goal, whatever that end state is. RabbitMQ versus mainframe MQ. I don't know what mainframe MQ is, but I know what RabbitMQ is. Amba, thanks. Yeah, of course, man. What are my interests? Let's see. Personal finance, fitness, programming, technology, computers, my family, my kiddos, my wife. Like to read. Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. All right, what was the other? Exchange string is peril. Q name is pause.username, where username is the user input. Pause. Format sprint f dot %s. So this is going to be routing dot pause key, and then this must have yep, user name or error. Do that. Hey Mark, how are you? It is good morning for me. It's 4:34 a.m. I just poked myself in the eye. And then we need the type. So we have the connection, the exchange, the queue name, the routing key, and then transient. There we go. Look at us. Then we get back, if everything works correctly, get back to AMQP channel, the AMQPQ, and an error. And we can check that error and say unable to declare in bind. Like that. Any guide on how to set up this streaming setup? I do not have any guide. All of it's pretty much, the only thing that is not publicly available is my terminal chat interface. That's a TUI that I've been working on that I haven't made publicly available. The timer, the Pomodoro timer, is on my GitHub. It's called Termato. You can install it just with a single command. The editor is NeoVim, and then the shell of choice is Windows Terminal. Hey, thanks for holding it down on Twitch for us, Mark. Appreciate that, man. It's pretty quiet over there these days. I gotta blow my nose. Sorry, one sec. I probably, now that you say that, I probably should make a new video because I made a video about a year and a half ago about the hardware and software that I use to stream, and it's actually changed a little bit. So I should probably make another, like an update. Why not Linux? Just preference, you know. Same people. Reason why people. Oh, whoops! I need to update that. Sorry about that, Abix. I need to update that. We're not doing the Docker course anymore. What testing suitcase was being used for ASP.NET? I don't know what ASP.NET uses for their test suite. .NET's open source though, so I'm guessing we could go look at the .NET repos and see what they use over there. If I had to guess, it's probably either MS Test, XUnit, InUnit, right? There's a handful. There's a newer one called TUnit that's kind of getting more popular. But for the most part, most people use InUnit, XUnit, MS Test. Dude, my nose is like just giving me such a pain. Okay. So I'm guessing we need to run... I actually don't know. I guess I'll ignore these for now, since we're not doing anything with them. Let's go ahead and write that out. And let's go ahead and go run cmd client main.go. And then let's make sure RabbitMQ is running, is it? Yeah, it is. Let's go ahead and start it up. Please enter the username. My username is Steven. Welcome, Steven. Possible commands. Unable to declare and bind. Exception reason not found. No queue. Pause.Steven. Huh. Screwed something up. Hello, K-Cave. I've never seen you around here before. Hello. Do you know about Hacktoberfest? I do. I don't think it's as big as it was, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, but I do know about it. I haven't really participated in it myself, because by the time I kind of knew about it, people were already... It had kind of turned into this gamified thing where people were largely using it to kind of bolster their open source reputation and statistics, and not really actually, I think, in the sense that it was meant for. So I haven't really participated in it. If I had to guess, it probably is just going to be even worse year after year now with AI. People will just be spamming issues on Git. There's probably people who already have bots waiting to find issues. You know, agents who are constantly monitoring for issues marked for Hacktoberfest, and they'll just spam open PRs with their agentic AI bots. It is indeed 4 a.m. for me. It is 4:42 a.m. in the morning. All right, we need to figure out why we are not being successful. Q declare. Am I passing the wrong thing here? Yeah, I think I'm passing the wrong thing here. I think this should be Q name. Now let's try again. There we go. And now we should be able to go to the RabbitMQ management dashboard, which I forget what host that is, or what port. RabbitMQ management port 15 or 15672. Guys, I'm sorry, my nose is just kicking the shit out of me. The timer is just a Pomodoro timer. If you've never heard of that technique, it's just a way to kind of time bound a task to like 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of a break, which is kind of nice when you're doing stuff like this. Oh man. I hope that allergy medicine kicks in here pretty soon. Okay. Guest. So there's pause Steven. Let's delete this one. I don't think we need this one anymore. Cool. I think that's all we needed to do. Okay, so if all goes well, it says the queue should be deleted after we close the client. And I think that's because it's a transient one. Yep, there it went away. Cool. Bless you. Oh, thanks, man. It's very kind of you. I think it wants us to run it again. Wants us to run it again with a specific username. Sun Su. And then it wants us to run the boot dev CLI to verify it. Success! I just earned an achievement that said study consistently for 55 days. So we've been working on boot.dev for 55 straight days. That's crazy. Are you doing this for a learning purpose or as a job? For fun, just for entertainment. I know how to implement pub sub architecture and have worked with it, RabbitMQ in the past. It's really just, I signed up for boot.dev really just to have a fun thing to do that was related to programming and coding. I kind of got burnt out making my own projects on stream because people just kind of show up and yell at you for not using AI. So I kind of largely stopped developing on my own stuff on stream and have been just doing boot.dev. Hey, what's up, Yash King Code? How are you doing, man? Life good? Oh, and I guess I should probably clarify too with your question. I just make content for fun. I don't streaming and making content's not my job. I have a day job. That's why I stream at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I have a young family and a day job, and so the rest of my day is already full. Okay, now we are going to run the print server function in internal game logic as the server starts up so that you can see the commands the user of the REPL can see. Okay. Also, Yash King Code, I am for sure doing well. I didn't see your question about how you're doing. I'm doing well. What concepts are you learning today in Go? We are learning about pub sub architecture, right? So this idea that you can do sort of event-driven programming or an event-driven system. And you can have people that publish messages and people who listen to messages, and then the people who are listening can react to said messages. And we're using RabbitMQ as the message broker service. For me, so difficult to wake up at 6 a.m. My sleeping time is 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, it's not easy for me to wake up at 4 a.m. That's why my streams I usually, once I get into the routine of doing it every day, I can do, if you go back and look, we did like 100 and something streams straight last year without missing a day. But once I fall off the wagon, it takes me a couple of days to get back on the wagon because my sleep schedule gets all out of whack. Because I think naturally I'm more of a night owl. Well, I should take that back. I think naturally I try to burn the candle at both ends, which always bites me. And then once I fall off the waking up early wagon, I land on the staying up too late wagon. And so then to get back to streaming early in the morning is kind of a battle. But we're doing it today. We're back to it today, so that's good. Where do I work right now? If you just type !LinkedIn in the chat, or you can go to linkedin.stephenfreeborn.com, and you are welcome to creep all over my professional work history. Right now I work for a company who makes a SaaS, like most people, SaaS, but it's like a no-code, low-code business automation platform. Oh, there you go. I'll put it in the chat. There you go. We primarily focus on like GRC as our kind of primary use case. But if you think of tools like Salesforce or ServiceNow, stuff like that, that's basically what we do. Okay, as the user starts up so that you can see the commands the user of the REPL can use. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be doing this. I guess right here. And then we do a forever loop. Game logic.get input. Yeah, see, that's gonna block. So I guess we need to put this in a go routine now. Excuse me. I wonder if that'll still work though. I wonder if that'll still allow us to capture input. I honestly don't know. Hello, Ryan. In work, is it mostly agent-driven workflow, or is there any case where you actually manually write code? Over 95% of my daily work is manually writing code. I use AI both in my personal and professional development workflow, but I still very much prefer to write the code myself, and I don't like the cognitive debt that builds up when you're doing agentic style programming. It just, not for me. If it's, you know, if other people like to do it, that's great. And luckily where I work, there's no strange, you must use AI mandate or you must token max for the sake of token maxing. You know, for largely the people that I work for, it's largely still, hey, look, you're an adult. This is the work that we expect you to do. These are the timelines. These are the deliverables. How you accomplish that, right? Like, we trust you. You're an adult. You know your job. You know what you're doing. You know, as long as you're meeting your deadlines and doing your work, there's no issue. And we probably have 5 or 6 engineers now at this point, 7 engineers. And for the most part, I don't think most of them are doing much agentic development. I'm sure they're using AI somewhat in their workflows, but yeah, it's not a very AI pilled environment, which I feel lucky to be able to say that I exist in such a world, because I know for some people they are very much having agentic AI shoved down their throats. We need to check the first word. Break time. Yep, we're based in Kansas City. I'm in a suburb of Kansas City. So I always tell people we're in Kansas City, but like Kansas City proper, Kansas City downtown Kansas City, right, is like 45 minutes away from me. And probably 25 or 30 minutes away from our office. I get to work from home, luckily. Most of the company works from home. I think probably half of us are here, you know, distributed around the KC metro area, and then the larger portion of the company is remote, which wasn't the case when I originally got hired. I got hired August 2020, and like I moved to Kansas City because at the time, it was like you had to be based in Kansas City. It was kind of a rule. But then obviously that was in the middle of COVID and everything, and the world kind of all changed in basically, you know, 9 or 12 months. And so now almost everybody's remote. Which is not, I mean, it's nice to have a remote first company, in my opinion. I love working from home. But it is also nice to be in driving distance of the office, right? If you ever do want to go in and have that experience, that is kind of nice. My philosophy on that, and I think that's my company's philosophy on it, I think that's why I like working there so much, is I largely just think, like, you should just kind of treat people like they're adults. Like, whatever work they need done, they should know what it is. They should know the deliverable, the standards, the quality that's expected, the timelines, right? What are the expectations? And you should trust your employees to be adults. Like, they should get their work done however it best suits them, wherever it best suits them. But I know sometimes you hire people that sort of ruin that for the rest of us. Brian, did you choose Kansas or MS? Any reason why? No, so I lived in Joplin, Missouri, which is about 3 hours south of here, and we moved to the Kansas side primarily just because my wife's father already lived up here, and so that's why we landed where we did, was just proximity to them, which was kind of nice to have family close by. But I think going back now, if I could go back and do it differently, I think going back now, I probably would have. Oh shit! I think I have a pimple right here. I probably wouldn't have moved. I probably would have pushed back a little bit harder on the company, and I probably would have said, "Nah, I want to stay here in Joplin. Can you guys make that work?" And they probably would have said yes. But at the time, I was pretty new, and I wanted to make everybody happy, and it was a good opportunity for my wife to live closer to her dad for the first time in a while. So, hindsight's 20/20. If there's no way to travel to the company, then there will be no remote job rule. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, some companies are fully remote. They don't even have like a headquarters or office space. So I think it's possible. Most companies in India think it's as a waste of time and somehow think it's not a productive way. Oh, to work from home? That's in India, it's a pretty pervasive thing that people don't like work from home. Those who do offer have unrealistic job role. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the whole... I mean, as somebody who started their career working in an office, and even when I started my career, I worked as a food scientist, and so everything, it was very much a hands-on job. And my boss was very old school. But early on in that job, I tried to pitch the idea of like, hey, we should be able to have flexibility where we do our work. My point was that we didn't necessarily need to be in the lab or at the plant to do all of our work. I was like, there's definitely a way that you can structure your work day or your work week to where you come into the plant or the lab when you need to. Otherwise, you don't. And he was very old school and just didn't. I don't think he could wrap his mind around how that would work. And then COVID sort of forced the hand on that because the company implemented these mandates that said like you couldn't share the lab space, like there could only be one of us in the lab at a time, and there had to be all these social distancing rules. So we ended up having to do that, what I had suggested when I first started working there. And it worked great. Like we didn't miss a beat, projects went great. I think a lot of people's beliefs about how people should or shouldn't work are largely predicated on their own feelings instead of what each individual, right, is best for, or what is best for each individual, in my opinion. I would try using Termado today. Tomorrow I have an exam, so I'll try to grind for it. Sure, go for it. Yeah, I like Pomodoro in general. Pomodoro is a good technique. I like it because I tend to be pretty fixated on stuff when I work. And so like I can literally go for like hours at a time without ever getting up from my desk, which just isn't good for you or your body. So the timer is a nice way to kind of remind myself, like, drink some water, stand up, do a pull up or two. It's good. Good morning, ye olde feck. How are you? It'll be pretty interesting what happens with dev salaries with remote jobs being harder to hire for due to AI fakes. Yeah, I wonder how that will evolve. I mean, I think it's in the world of AI, it's going to be very interesting to see how people navigate sussing out, like, how capable is this person? What can they really do, right? Which I know there's going to be some AI maximalists out there that say, well, why does it matter? You know, they're going to be like, well, why does it matter if I do all my work with Claude or not? You know, and I guess to some people it might not matter. To me, I would much prefer to work with even if I work with somebody who does agentic AI, I would still like to have confidence that if I was to take Claude Code away from them, they would still be competent and capable myself. But you know, no, it's a brave new world, right? It's like I saw yesterday. I tweeted this yesterday, but there was somebody on X saying that they need to start doing prompting as part of interviews, or making a prompting section of interviews. And I just thought, oh my God, if this becomes a thing, I'm never going to become an engineer at another company. It says maybe technical interviews should have a prompting round along with a coding round. Given some code base and some goal, what prompt would you write? How would you steer agents to solve a particular problem? What context would you provide them with? And I just thought, oh my God, dude, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. And you know what? The same thing will happen that happened to coding interviews. In 24 months, people will wake up and realize, oh, this was a bad way to evaluate people's skills, right? Just like coding challenges are a bad way to evaluate people. Like, this is just so dumb. So dumb. I think the reason COVID worked for the remote transition is that it forced everyone to change all at once. Yeah, it really did. It forced people who had preconceived ideas and notions about work, like my boss, who was a nice guy. He was great. He taught me so much about navigating a big company and corporate politics and stuff, and just being like a very ruthlessly efficient and effective product developer and project manager. But yeah, he had preconceived beliefs about how our work could or could not be done, and his hand was sort of forced. Which is I think a good lesson. Like, there's nothing wrong with running the experiment, right? If someone has an idea of doing something different, should at least try it, collect some data, right? Before just like making up your mind and deciding it can't be done. You aren't catching what I said. Their interviewing is different now due to deepfakes and AI cloning. Well, I guess my take on what you said was basically like, there's going to be people out there who think like deepfakes, AI, like there's people out there who are very AI maximalist who think it doesn't matter. Like, what if I use an AI fake to do the interview, right? If I can do the job with AI, why does it matter? You know? Requiring someone to interview in the office is becoming a counter strategy. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing in-person interviews. Unless it requires travel and you're unwilling to pay for travel, then that would be a problem, right? Like, if you're interviewing for remote roles, but you require in-person interviews that require someone to travel from like Georgia to California or vice versa, and you don't pay for that kind of would be shitty. But if you're fronting the bill to get your candidates into the office for interviews, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This is true. Way more companies have understanding of remote work now. Yeah. I even personally kind of hate the delineation between remote work and office work. Like, I really think companies should just look at it as, this is the job we're hiring you for. These are your responsibilities. These are our expectations. Like, however you get that done, wherever you get that done, it shouldn't really matter, in my opinion. Like, you should just be a grown-up, right? Like, I think that's why I've always excelled in the workplace. Is before I ever worked in a corporate setting, I owned my own business, and so I take a lot of ownership of things, right? I don't wait for people to come and tell me what to do. I take initiative. I'm very proactive. Like, and I think that's the approach and the expectation that companies should set. Not that you need to be micromanaged and handheld, and we need to tell you what time to be here and what time to go home, and when this is happening and when that's not happening, and when, you know what I mean? Like, if I have to treat you like I treat my 10-year-old son, like, there's a larger issue here. There are spies from North Korea getting into companies with deepfakes. I hadn't heard that, but that's wild. I guess that would be one security related reason to do in-person interviews. Yeah, I guess if your vetting process is not good enough, you know, like if you're hiring in the US and you aren't checking someone's social security number, and if North Korea can actually fake a valid social security number, well, then we have much larger issues. Also, the whole multiple jobs things. I don't have a problem with overemployment. I think overemployment should be perfectly fine. I think overemployment should be looked at as like part of the free marketplace of right to work. I think companies selfishly, like, you know, there's a weird dynamic between employer and employee, right? Like, it's a game. They're trying to extract more value from you than they pay you for, and you're trying to extract more value from them than work that you're doing. It's a game. So I don't think there's anything wrong with overemployment. Obviously, companies want to say there's like a moral, legal issue to it. In my opinion, there shouldn't be. Like, if you can work for a company and do your job and get it all done and do it well, and also do another job, it's whatever, man. It's like, to me, it's the same issue as like having a day job and having an evening job. Like, if you want to hustle twice as hard and make twice as much, you should be allowed to do it. Yeah, I think that's totally fine, Dota. I think it's totally fine for someone to work 3 40-hour jobs, 8 to 5. And if they can hustle and get it all done, and they're not being a shitty employee to any of their employers, like, more power to you. I don't know why employees should be limited on how they can make money, but employers are not limited. I mean, in the United States, employment is ruthless, man. Here in the United States, there is no safety net. Especially in a lot of states, it's a right to work state. You can be fired for any reason without cause, and you have really no legal recourse. Like, it's ruthless. I guess if you're in Europe or something, maybe you feel a little differently, but here in the United States, it's pretty cutthroat when it comes to employment. Ryan, prompting in interviews as a manager, I'd like to give it a try. I'd like to understand how someone breaks down problems. How do you communicate to the model, etc.? Could signal how you work. I just don't understand why it matters, the prompting side of it. Like, I understand what you're saying, how to break down problems, but like, why does it matter how that's communicated to the model, right? Like, I think it's the same kind of thing people tried to do with coding challenges. Like, let's assess this person's ability to problem solve using leak code. In a lot of cases, it's just a bad way to assess that, right? Like, a conversation is much more useful, I think, in my opinion, but I'm sure we will walk ourselves down this dark road where before long, people aren't grinding leak code. They're grinding, I don't know, what would it be called? They're grinding prompt, not prompt code, prompt context, prompt. I have no idea. Someone will make a platform around it, and they'll get a bunch of young engineers freaked out that they need to spend all their time talking to models so that they can get jobs, and A bunch of people will get rich off of it, and all the model companies will benefit from it. And a bunch of young engineers will chase their tail on it for the first 5 years of their career, only to find out it's a waste of time. Okay, let's say the task was to vibe code a complex scroll animation on a web page. Yeah, why does the task need to be vibe code? Why can't the task just be, hey, you need to implement this complex scroll animation. What would you do? How would you accomplish that? I mean, they can 100% answer it by saying, well, I'd probably use Claude Code, and this is how, like, I think that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? But I think it should be also perfectly valuable for someone to be like, well, this is how I'd approach it, right? Like, I don't know why the specifics of talking to a model matter. I guess if that's really important to you and your company, then it matters. Like if you're really like, you're like, hey, nobody can put their fingers on a keyboard. Everybody must write every line of code using Claude Code. Then I guess it does make sense for your interview process, but you know that I would probably not come and interview at your company. Which is why on X I said, like, if this becomes a thing, like an industry-wide thing, I probably have held my last engineering job that I will ever hold professionally. I'll need to start my own company if I want to continue to be an engineer. It's not a hard task, but it does require that you explain to the model how it should work and how do you debug it. Well, I guess my point is not that it's a hard task. My point is just I don't understand why it matters if it's vibe coded or not. That was my point. But like I said, if that's really important to you, then I mean, you're the interviewer. It's your company, or if you're the interviewer, you dictate, right, what's important. So who am I to question you? In Europe, it's basically law that an employer has to pay your medical insurance, cover accident, sickness days, part of your social aid, and many will have other benefits like cars, public transit if you need travel, internet. Wow, that's really awesome. Yeah, not here in the United States. We hire you, and we hire you based on a right to work. And once they pay you at the end of every pay period, that's it. Everybody's obligations to each other are satisfied at that point. And that happens every 2 weeks, or however often you get paid, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is. Hello, Oblivion. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. My example is from living in Switzerland, so not exactly the European Union, but it's a good middle upper ground. Yeah, I think the United States could aspire to be a little bit more European. But yeah, it's not. You better, here in the United States, you better have a nice big emergency fund. That's about the only way you can deal with it. Whoops, if pause. So we need channel, exchange, key, and value. So this will be exchange is routing.exchange peril direct, and the key is pause key. I spent 10 minutes of that 25 minutes yapping, didn't I? Let's see. Value is going to be routing dot no game logic, yeah, game state is paused. I thought there was like a game state or is pause. Where's that at? Playing state. There we go. Okay. And then if first word equals routing dot resume. Maybe I'm not supposed to use those constants there. Huh. Wonder why that's the case. And we'll do something different. The J Coco, hello. Do you have published somewhere your NeoVim configs? I do. If you type exclamation point invim in chat or exclamation point NeoVim in chat, my bot will reply with a link to the GitHub. But they're all there. And my dot files are also on my GitHub. I don't have a link to that set up for commands, but my dot files are out there on my GitHub. And I should also say, I have to give a little bit of credit on the NeoVim configs to Typecraft. I took his NeoVim for Noobs course, and that's where a lot of my configs started from. And then slowly I've just kind of iterated on it over time. So it's very bespoke. It's not, it's not based on an existing distribution. But I'm happy with it. Thanks, man. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoy them, or at least find something useful in there. I'm actually going to do this. So this is, we're going to break. If there's anything else logged to the console that you don't understand the command. Received unknown. Probably don't need to have explicit continues here, but I kind of prefer that. All right, so that's our loop. Now we need to test the app. Start 3 clients, each in their own terminal. Use the usernames Washington, Napoleon, and Churchill. Run the server again to pause the game. You should see 3 queues created in the RabbitMQ management UI, each with its own copy of the pause message. Okay, so we got to start 3 clients. Control Shift New. Let's do, we'll do our server on top, and then we'll do our clients on the bottom. So let's go ahead and split down. Let's change into apparel. Okay, that's going to be our server. Actually, we'll do the clients on the top. So let's now split right twice. And then let's give equal. Is there not an easy way to give them all the same? I guess not. That's all right. We can eyeball it. I don't know. That seems about roughly equal. Okay. Then let's do go run. Okay, so this is gonna be Washington. This is going to be Napoleon. And this is gonna be Churchill. Churchill. Okay, so now we're gonna start our server. Successfully connected to RabbitMQ. There we go. So we have, this one's the old one. This is from our last run. We can actually delete this. Delete that queue. Yeah. Are you sure the queue is going to be deleted? Messages cannot be recovered after deletion. Yeah, I think I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. Anywho, we have all the ones that we expect. We all have a one message that has not been acknowledged yet. So now we need to run our verification. So we'll leave that running. Success. All right, now we need a client REPL. Let's update the client to support its REPL commands, or at least an empty shell of them. Okay. I'm interested, does the server actually... Oh, that's why, because I still had a client running over there. That's why there was that channel. I'm curious, does this actually respond if I do Control C? Yeah, it still shuts down. Cool. So let's go ahead and shut this one down. We'll shut this one down. And we'll just put this away just in case we need it again. Break time. Man, my nose is just, it's working me over this morning, I swear, man. Good morning, Kale. I'm doing well, man. Good to see you again. Thanks for being a member. Hope you're doing well. Ryan, RE NeoVim, do you use the debugging often? Yes, I do use debugging often. Actually, if NeoVim didn't have that capability, I would not be a NeoVim user, because debugging, in particular debugging my tests, are a big part of my personal workflow. So if I couldn't do those things, I would not be a NeoVim user. That was actually what if you go back to my stream when I first started using NeoVim, which now it's almost been like a year and a half now, what convinced me to finally use it was I watched Typecraft go through the NeoVim for Noobs course, and in that course he shows working with a debugger, which was the first time I had ever seen anyone do it, and that's what convinced me finally to take the plunge. Could you dip? Yeah, for sure. I can do that right now. Let's go to this guy. So I guess we could just do it with a piece of Go code. Look at this. Let's go ahead and open this. So you obviously need two things, right? You need the first thing you need is the debugger, the debugging program itself, right? And let's see, if I go to my configuration for Go, I think I use Delve if I remember correctly. Yeah, Delve. So the first thing you have to have, obviously, is you have to have the program that you're going to use to do the debugging, right? So this is typically a server application that speaks the debug adapter protocol, and that's how NeoVim gets information from the debugger into NeoVim, right? So you've got NeoVim acting as the DApp client, and then you have some debugger program that's acting as the DApp server. And for every language, that's going to be a little bit different. Delve, I use Delve for Go. VS Code, I think uses, TypeScript uses a, the debugger, I think, is from VS Code, I think is where it comes from. And then for C#, I use OmniSharp. Or no, I switched to Roslyn, didn't I? Yeah. Let's see. .NET. So I use the Net Core debugger. That's what I use there. So you just have to have those available, installed, set up on your machine, and then you have to have your configurations set up to actually know about the debugging program. All right, so let's go back then into the actual application. So this is a Go program. So let's just do package main, and then we'll do func main this. And then let's do like format, print line, set breakpoint here. Set breakpoint here. And then there's commands that you can actually run to start it up, but I have them all bound to keybinds. So I have leader DT to toggle breakpoints. like that. Leader DT. So now I have 2 breakpoints. And then I used leader DC to start the debugger. And then you can have different configurations set up for debugging. So basically, if you want to do things a little bit differently, like for example, in this case, like I can debug a test file, I can debug a specific Go file, or if I was like in a larger solution, like a larger Go program, I might want to do the go.mod one, which is basically debugging the mod at the module level. So let's go ahead and do debug. Whoops. What did I do? There we go. Just took a minute to respond. So there's my breakpoint. I just, like I said, I just do leader DC, and then I select the one I want to run. And now I can step through this. I can use the normal, you know, the buttons that everybody's used to in VS Code or Visual Studio, whatever your IDE of choice is, where you have your continue, your step over, your step into, all that good stuff. Or you can just use keybinds as well to do this too, right? So I can do leader DC, leader DC, that goes to the next breakpoint, leader DC, that'll exit the program. The one downside of debugging in NeoVim though is the inspection of the state of your program is not as, in my opinion, it's not as great of an experience as if you're doing it in something like a graphical IDE. It's a little bit easier to inspect the watch windows and the local variables and stuff, but you can most definitely do it. So let's add some state in here. Let's do like num. Well, let's actually write a loop. So we'll do for I range over, what is it, 3? Can I do that? This will be format.println I, something like that. So let's remove those breakpoints. Remove those breakpoints. Set that here. Whoops. And then it'll attach. And then you can see over here in your locals window. And you can configure all this, like mvim DAP allows you to configure all these windows. So you can have it on the left, the bottom, the side. You can have different panels of different, you can, there's all this UI stuff you can configure however you want it. And then you can also have an expression windows here if you'd like to, you know, inspect the, actually watch a value, you know, as you step through stuff. So you can see it increment up here. Obviously it's available in your locals down here too. So this is what convinced me, this ability to debug in NeoVim, this is what convinced me to actually use NeoVim. If I couldn't do that in NeoVim, it'd be a no-go for me. I mean, I know a lot of people who use NeoVim are not debugging, they're not users of debuggers, they just printf debug everything. But I can't do it. Can't do it. So just to recap, you need the configuration first and foremost. Well, first and foremost, you need the program that you're going to debug with. I use Mason to manage those. So Mason has a whole list of debuggers that are available to you. I'm pretty sure the JS debug adapter is extracted from VS Code. I could be completely wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's where it comes from. The Go debug adapter is just another alternative. I'm using Delve to do the Go debugging. This one I use for C and Rust, I think, is what that's for. Netcore debuggers, obviously, for C#. And there's a bunch of others, right? Looks like they've got ones for Java, Perl, PHP, right? And then you just have to configure those debuggers, or configure NeoVim to work with those debuggers in your actual configuration files. And this right here is DAP UI. So this is what allows you to do the windows and stuff in NeoVim. This is another plugin
that you can set up, and it's got all these different configurations that you can set. You can change the windows, size, heights of all that stuff. I'm gonna guess most of this is copied straight from their repo. If I had to guess, maybe I tweaked it a little bit, but there's not a lot of non-standard stuff in here when it comes to the UI. I haven't tweaked it much. It's worked for what I needed it to. Yeah, that's about it. So you got to have the configuration set up and have the debugger program available on your path essentially, and you're off to the races. They just recently added support. I will say this, that if you're used to working with VS Code, you're probably used to having a launch.json that can also reference a task.json file. They added support. So you used to have to explicitly set that up yourself to support the launch.json file, but now NVim dApp just supports it out of the box. So you don't have to do anything special to make it work with it. So I need to update some of my configuration, because some of my configuration in here is about doing that. Yeah, right here. This is not necessary anymore. All this special handling. Yeah, this guy right, and this two right here. So we're basically checking to see, hey, do you have a VS Code folder in your root, and do you have a launch.json? This is not needed anymore. I should probably add that as a to-do. And that's not how you do a comment in Lua. Server side TypeScript, how does that work? It uses the same debugger that VS Code uses. So we can do the same thing. Whoops. Which is a little confusing, because if you look at the way you configure it, you actually have to specify like PWA dash something for the JavaScript configurations in NVim dApp, but it uses it. Yeah, it's kind of odd the way the configurations are specified, but it does work. Let's see, make dir ts debug. So we can do the same thing here. Fire this up. We'll just follow the same type of approach. And we'll just do console.log. Break here. Break there. For let I equals 0, I plus plus. I'll say I is less than 3, I guess. And then I plus plus console.log I. And then we'll just make sure that works. Fantastic. And then we should be able to debug it by doing leader DC. And then we should be able to say launch file using Node.js, and we'll attach with NVim dApp. I also have configuration set up to do a few different things. I have one that does TS Node register. So this was before Node had that built-in support, and you needed to be able to run a TypeScript file on demand and debug it. I was basically using TS Node to facilitate that. You can also launch Chrome and Edge if you're doing client-side stuff. But yeah, we'll just launch that. And obviously I didn't set any breakpoint, so it closed out, but we can set a breakpoint here. Whoops. We'll set a breakpoint here. Oops, that one here. So this is our external terminal, obviously. And I'll put that somewhere where you can see it. You can see things being printed. And then we'll just do, whoops, that's not gonna work. Oh yeah, because that's, that's because that window's, okay. I don't know if I can show you, but here, let's step through this. Leader DC, leader DC, leader DC. So you can just see we're stepping through it just the same way. There's my local. We can do an expression up here. Show me I. Leader DC, leader DC. Yeah, so it works all the same. Let's see. Yeah, it is very cool. Yeah, it's it took a little while futzing with it. I think I made a couple videos about it once I got it all working. Like, I think it took me a while to figure out how to do it with client-side JavaScript and stuff. So, but that's kind of the nature of the beast with NeoVim, right? Is you kind of sometimes you do have to fiddle with things. I'm going to ape your config. Yeah, I don't know if you should use all of my config, but maybe you can at least look at the debug. I think it's called debugging.lua, and try to see if you can't figure out how to translate that into what you already have going on already. And obviously, if you get to a sticking point, I'm always happy to try to work it out myself. I'm definitely not like a NeoVim expert. I'm good at deciding I want something to do something a particular way, and I just fight it until it does it that way. After a lot of Google searching and a lot of YouTube watching, and occasionally asking Gemini to save me from myself. So, yeah, I don't want anyone to think that I particularly know what I'm talking about when it comes to NeoVim. I know how I got it working on my machine, which probably is not particularly helpful for other people, but I do try to share whatever I find. Also, I find NeoVim a lot because I work with poly repos. Oh yeah, I bet that's very difficult. It's funny you say that. I just made a video, like my last couple, I think it was my last video or the video before my last video on my YouTube channel, about how I got NeoVim to play nice with TypeScript 7 and Vue. And it's funny you say that, because then after I made that video, I went into a repo that was a Vue client and a .NET backend. So it was a Vue front end, .NET backend. And right away I was like, oh shit, the solution I came up with doesn't account for this type of a repo structure. Because, my original config kind of assumed that the root was going to be the root of a TypeScript project, or root of a Vue project. So I had to rework that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting trying to make it all play nice in a project like that, where you have lots of different languages. And I think though what's wonderful though about it is that is also the beauty of NeoVim, is that it's flexible enough and it's programmable enough that you can make it do like whatever. You can make it accommodate anything, right? Even if it's just to accommodate your very specific niche requirements, right? Like you can make it work, which I think is cool. Dino bun node, yeah, it gets weird. Yeah, I wonder, I've never tried actually applying my configs and stuff with Dino and bun for like JavaScript, TypeScript stuff. I'm guessing I'd have to do a little bit of work to get it to work right. Because I think everything I have right now kind of assumes that I just use Node, which is what I do use. I mean, that is a correct assumption for me, but I don't know if it would play nice with Dino and bun. I'm guessing it wouldn't, but
That's the beauty though of VS Code and Microsoft, is that these protocols like LSP and DAP, which VS Code sort of like popularized, now we get to benefit from all that, right? So if chances are if VS Code can do it, more than likely you can make NeoVim do it, right? So if you can make VS Code play nice with Bun, Node, Dino, all those things, debug them, test runners, all that good stuff, you can likely get that to work in NeoVim. And I'm guessing some of the NeoVim distributions like LazyVim, Kickstart, there's a couple different ones. I'm guessing a lot of those just work out of the box, I'm guessing you don't have to do much massaging to make them work. I feel like generally dynamic and interpreted languages are more common to find working examples with a NeoVim configuration. It seems like whenever you get into Java or C# or Rust, C, C++, these sorts of things, it seems like those communities or those language communities in general don't do a lot with editors like NeoVim. Like they just have those communities have very different workflows, right? That most of them are doing stuff in like proper IDs, right? Versus a terminal-based editor. But it's possible. You just got to work at it, I think, a little bit. Add a REPL loop similar to what you did in command server. Oh, okay. I completely lost my... Nobody wants to hand edit a CS project. Yeah, they don't, but like it's funny because I prefer to work with .NET through the command line, right? But I know a lot of C# developers don't. A lot of C# developers just, they do everything in Rider or Visual Studio. And I almost do everything in either NeoVim, VS Code with the CLI. The only thing I really like that I absolutely need Visual Studio for is like really complex multi-threaded debugging scenarios or profiling, that sort of thing. And I do use Visual Studio more at work for like, because it's like a giant solution. And I'm not sure how NeoVim would handle that. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Right tool for the right job, right? That's kind of the best, probably, philosophy. What are we doing today? Got food? Nice, nice. We are currently, we're actually approaching the end of boot.dev. So this is the last course I have on there. And we're basically working on building kind of a pub sub, or exploring what kind of a pub sub architecture looks like. And we're using RabbitMQ as our message broker. But we're getting toward the end of it, yeah. I think I'm at this weird place with it where I'm not going to get to level 100 when I finish all the courses on the path. So I'm gonna have to, I guess, do some one-off courses, or maybe I'm gonna have to grind some challenges to get to level 100, because I'm at level 92 now, and I don't have any more I don't have any more courses after this. This is the last one I haven't completed, so I don't know what we'll do, what I'll do. I guess I'll just maybe do the Kubernetes course, maybe do, there's an observability one with OpenTelemetry, maybe I'll do that one. But basically I just need to farm some more XP. Yeah, do challenges, yeah.
I'm not an archmage yet. Yeah, I'm 92. I'm just a mage at the moment. And then branch into the... I don't think I want to do any more of the pass. I just... Basically, I'm at a point with boot.dev where I just want to get to level 100. And then I'm going to jump headfirst into development with the app protocol. That's my next stuff I'm planning to do on stream is a bunch of... I'm going to set up my own personal data server. I want to build a couple different applications on it. I'd like to try to understand how authentication, authorization works, all that stuff. Yeah, OTel to Kubernetes, that would be good. I took, OTel is what we use at work, and I took a workshop on OTel at the last, or the second to last Kansas City Developer Conference. So I'm a big fan of OpenTelemetry, so I feel like that would be a good course to do. Maybe CI/CD with GitHub Actions and Docker and Go, that might be fun. Or cryptography with Go, that might be fun. That might be a fun one to do. But yeah, I'd really like to get... I'm very excited about this app protocol thing, and I'd really like to spend a bunch of time going deep down that rabbit hole a bit. But that's what we're doing today. App Proto and Nostr. So what's Nostr? App Proto is definitely, that's my latest like obsession. That's my latest that's what in all my free time, my own development time, that's what I've been exploring. What's Nostr? Controlled by users, not platform. It's a free open source protocol for social media. Oh, so this is another open source protocol. That's cool. I haven't heard of this one. I've heard of ActivityPub and I've heard of App Proto, obviously. But I have not heard of this. This is kind of cool. Let's see, wiki. They got a wiki. So Nostr is a decentralized communication open protocol which was built to resist internet censorship. Nostr can be used for social media and other applications. It's written in 20 by, it looks like it's Brazilian. With other protocols, ActivityPub, Secure Scuttlebutt. I haven't heard of that. Huh. I'll have to check this out. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, it sounds like it's very similar, so maybe we'll explore that. But yeah, I'm all in on this app protocol. I want to try to build some applications. I want to move my blog. I want to take my blog and I want to, in some way, shape, or form, take my blog and I want to publish my blog posts to the atmosphere as, site.standard lexicons so that they can show up on other blogging and publishing platforms on the atmosphere. There's a new streaming platform that I've been using called stream.place that I'm trying to support. I want to build a chat client for this. I want to build a chat client for it, and then I want to integrate the chat client into my term chat. So I'll have Twitch, YouTube, and Streamplace. So I have a lot of ideas for like other projects. We've been stuck on this boot.dev kick, so I haven't been able to spend much time on stream working on any of that stuff. I love the idea of a social web that feels like old internet, you know? Because the internet seems to be dying. The weird internet is dying on us, is becoming flooded with nothing but AI spam content. And I think having the ability to basically pick up your identity and pick up your data and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go over here now, is pretty freaking awesome. And hopefully more people will see the beauty in that as time goes on. So now we're going to do another for loop. And we're gonna have to run all this inside a function. Okay. Here's what each command should do. The spawn command allows a player to add a new unit to the map under their control. So I guess this should be another game logic.get input. And this is going to have some words. And then we'll have a first word equals word strings dot trim space words at 0. If length of words is 0, we'll just continue. Hey, what's up, Victor? How are you? Doing well? Oh, I'm on break. What am I doing? Sometimes I'm bad about listening to the timer. Zarvium, hello, Zarvium. I think this is the first time I've seen you around my channel. Nice to see a new name around here. Victor, you're great. Well, that is wonderful, Victor. I am very happy to hear it. It's summer vacation in the US, right? So it's kind of weird. Schools across the US start at different times. So like some kids have been in school since like the beginning of August, basically. Some kids haven't started yet. My kids went back to school last Thursday. So they've been in school for a week now. So summer ended for them. But yeah, we got lots of time together. I mean, that's been one of the biggest blessings of working from home is in the summertime. Like my kids are here all day long with me, which is wonderful. I wish it's actually, it makes me kind of sad to talk about this or think about it. But when as a father, the best years so far of being a dad, like every period is different. Every age is different. But like the best years so far in my experience were like 0 to 4. But when both my kids were that age, I was working a different job in a different field, and I was working away from home, and I was working a lot of hours, and I didn't get the same amount of time with them when they were that age. And so I really wish I could go back in time. Obviously this is not possible, but I really wish I could go back in time and have worked from home when they were those ages. It was the most fun. When your kid is that age, everything is fun, everything's an adventure. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Just take them to the park and they're just ecstatic, right? And it's great. It's great. And then they grow up, man. Then they turn 5 and 6 and they start school, and this is different. It's different. Here it's a fucking 10-month or 11-month session, like April to Feb or March. Oh, wow. So you guys are in school almost year round, huh? Wow. That's crazy. In the like growing up, there's always been this kind of like underlying idea of trying to do that. Here in the United States, no one's ever actually executed on it, but there's always been rumblings of that. Like, will eventually we go year round? I know summer's tough. Like, largely in the United States, school for a lot of parents functions as daycare, right? Like it's childcare for a lot of parents. I mean, obviously education is great and everything, but like for a lot of parents, that's how they're able to get childcare so that they can go to work and earn money. So I know during the summer is particularly difficult on parents here in the United States to try to figure out what to do with their kids if you work a job where you can't be at home with them. Or like in my case, my wife doesn't work. Well, she works for the school during the school year, but she doesn't have to work. And so we never have to think about that. But if you're a family who has 2 working parents and you both work outside the home, summers are kind of difficult. We get 2 months of summer vacation, but we get holidays, homework, and it's so much, dude. I mean, I guess 2 months is roughly, I mean, that's roughly the same as the United States, you know, because my kids got out like May 20 something last year, and then they went back August 14th or whatever it was. So I guess it's about the same here, 2.5 months or roughly. Not that much different. ZarVM, hi, I want a suggestion for what to put in resume for internship. I only have one project, multiplayer chess website. What else should I build to improve it? I don't have time, deadline is, oh shit. I saw, so the deadline's tomorrow, huh? Let's see, if it was me and I was building a resume, there's some really good templates online. Boot.dev also has a course that goes over how to get a programming job where they talk about resume creation. But I think generally a good flow to your resume is obviously, you know, name, contact information at the top, probably 3 to 4 sentences or a paragraph at the very top that just kind of gives people a very attention grabbing and clearly states kind of what it is you do, who you are, what you bring to the table. And obviously you can wordsmith that. And then obviously, since you're, guessing you're a student, right? It sounds like you're applying for an internship. And so you don't have any directly related work experience. So I would probably list any work experience you have, right? Or volunteer experience that speaks to, doesn't necessarily need to speak to your ability to do software engineering or engineering related stuff, but it should just speak to like your ability to work with others and like hold a job, like any experience you have. It's like if you're going to work to be a software engineer, but the only work experience you have is a landscaper, I think you should still put that experience on there, right? Like it's still helpful in my opinion to show that you can hold a job working with other people. I think is still useful. And then I'd put your education, if you have any, high school, whatever your education is. And granted, if you're applying for an internship, people should know like these sections are not going to be like deep and lengthy, right? It's like this, that's the whole point of internship. So I would do work experience, then education, then your projects, and then probably a section with skills is roughly how I would break it down if it was me. I need to build a resume site. That's another project I need to do at some point, is build a resume site. I don't have one. My resume only lives in a Microsoft Word at the moment. But I would like to build a site that allows people to download a PDF, a Microsoft Word version, or they can print the page. I'd like to build something like that. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Yeah, so that's what I would probably do. Summary. I mean, you could also move the skills up above experience. Like, so you could do contact information, summary, skills, experience, projects, education. So you could move the skills from the bottom to the top if you wanted to. I guess it depends on what you want to stand out the most. My other piece of advice would be don't wait to write your resume till the night before. ZarVM. That way you can write the resume and maybe you can shop it around with your parents or your friends or other people and get feedback. That's always good. I'm part of a Discord group called Dads in Tech that has a jobs channel where people share resumes and get feedback from other working professionals, which is really handy. So that would be my other piece of advice. But hey, what are you gonna do? Your break, yeah, my break is over. I got a smaller device, but my USB-C connection transferring 200 gigs from DCIM is so slow. Huh? 200 gigs sounds fast over USB-C. Kale, I do contact, call to action. Yep. Skills, work, education, work experience, extracurriculars. Okay, there you go. So Kale has his skills just under his summary. So maybe that's the better way to do it, is skills, experience, education. Yeah. But good luck, Zarvium. I wish you all the luck with your application, man. Hope it goes well. Hope you land that internship. Seems to be capped at 30 megabytes per second over USB-C. Huh. Wow. Isn't? Well, I guess that's a different standard, right? Thunderbolt. I guess not all USB-C are Thunderbolt capable, are they? Are they? Hey, Mike Goggle. I'm not sure how you pronounce the last part, but hello, Mike. Sup, how's it going? It's going well. Yeah, we're just drinking some coffee and trad coding a little bit, getting our day started. I've been yapping way too much the last hour, so I haven't really made much progress on the code side, but we've had some good conversation. I did a little bit of demoing of my debug ability in NeoVim for somebody. That was fun. Kale, it means it's running at USB 2.0. That's not good. Regardless of the port being USB-C. Oh, that sucks, dude. Yeah, I think Thunderbolt goes up to like 80 gigs a second, maybe. I might be making that up, but I feel like that's something I've heard before somewhere. Or giga, I guess it's not gigabytes, it's gigabit. GBps, gigabit. I don't know what that would translate into. More like 40 gig. Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah, it's much faster than what were you working with, Kale? 30, yeah, 30 megs. Yeah. Much faster than what you got going on. Four bits in the bytes. Oh, so if it's 80 GB, 80 GB, GBps. So what would that be? 20? Oh, maybe. So that's not that much faster, is it? Well, yeah, it is, because we're talking gigs, aren't we? Not. I don't know. I'm just gonna ask the internet. Thunderbolt, how fast? How fast can data transfer? And I guess there's different versions. So let's do Thunderbolt 4. Is that the latest? Or is it Thunderbolt 5 is the latest? Let's see. Achieving Thunderbolt 4's 40 gigabit per second data transfer speed. So Thunderbolt 4 is rated for 40 gigabit per second. But yeah, you got a long road ahead of you. 145 or an hour and 45 minutes. I guess you better get some coffee and eat your food. And are you maintaining any media server locally for boobies? I see most people using something Jellyfin. I think Kale does Jellyfin. I think Kale has some sort of media server. I don't, though. I don't personally have a media server. I do have a NAS. I have a ton of home videos and photos and stuff on my NAS, but no media server per se. There's a guy I work with who has a pretty robust, it's not Jellyfin. It's the other real popular one. Shit, I forgot the name of it. Plex, I think is the name of it. Plex. I think he has a pretty substantial Plex server, but yeah, Plex. Yep. Yeah, see, Kale's got all the self-hosting. He's got audiobooks. He's goated. All right. Let's see. New game. Dot. Print. Oh, game logic. Game logic. Dot print. Client help. And then the spam command just prints. Spamming not allowed yet. And then we'll just printf unknown command received. Oh, now you know what? I just realized. I need to add a new line over here. And up here. Well, maybe not right there. All right, so I think that's the implementation for all those commands. Are these actually implemented? If I go into these. Yeah, these are implemented. Okay. If any other command is entered, print an error message and continue the loop. Let's see, test the client REPL. Start up a client REPL and test each command. Make sure that you can spawn units of all different types and move them around the map. Okay. So we'll do go run client main.go. We'll do Steven. And then we need to move, or sorry, we will spawn Europe infantry. Spawned an infantry in Europe with ID 1. Then we'll do move 1 Or no, we have to tell it where to move it. So let's move it to America. Americas. Move 1 units to America. Okay, so let's spawn another one. Spawn Europe. Cavalry. And then let's move to Antarctica. And I cannot spell today. Cavalry. Oh no, it needs the ID too. Cool. So it seems to work. And then let's try to quit. Quit. Oh, it's listening for Control C. So we need to figure out how to fix that implementation. So we're breaking out of the loop, but we executed this in a Go routine. So we need to rethink this. I have 241 containers across 4 machines. Damn, dude, you are what are they? You're not token maxing. You're self-host maxing. You're container maxing. Yeah, I think that's awesome. All right, well, team, well, chat, I'm hanging it up. I actually think, I know this sounds weird, but I actually think I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to try to get our grocery shopping done before my family has to leave for school so I can use the car. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, what is it, Thursday? Yeah, I hope guys have had a good week. I don't know how much more boot.dev you'll see on stream, honestly. I'll probably try to finish this course today. And then I'm probably going to switch over to doing some app proto stuff. I don't know. I can't make up my mind what I want to do. I can't make my mind if I just want to continue the road to 100 on stream or if I want to switch to doing something else. In any event, you'll know. Whenever I become an archmage, I'll definitely be sure to brag about it. Alrighty, guys. See you, Kale. See you, Amba. Anybody else that's still here? Appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm off. Bye. See you guys.